Hello YouTube! I have recently been getting a lot of questions about what exactly are macros, how do you track them, and how do you figure out your numbers. So I am making a little video that breaks it down a little bit for you guys, and hopefully you get a better understanding about it. And if you have questions after the video, just leave them in the comments below and I'll get back with you.
This real fun?
No, that one's too heavy. We're at a concert on the lake. Yay! I recently lost 22 pounds by tracking my macros, and actually those pounds were 100% fat, and I know this because this is what tracking your macros does. You lose the fat and you define your muscles, the muscles that you already have or that you're building, depending on if you're cutting or bulking. More on that later. So before I lost the weight, I was feeling very frustrated, very just over the dieting. I tried low carb, I tried just not eating, and I was feeling very just frustrated, hungry, angry. I wasn't sleeping well because I wasn't eating correctly, even though I thought I was. Whenever you're tracking, you are counting your carbs, your fat, and your protein, and it's kind of similar to counting calories, but you are more in depth and it's more detailed, and everybody's numbers are different whenever they're tracking. No one person's carb, fat, and protein amounts is the same as the next person. Like mine's different than Lydia's is different than my husband's, and everyone, no matter how alike you are with someone, it's still going to be different because your bodies are just different. Now, whenever people track macros, you hear a lot about people eating, Doritos and Pop-Tarts and all the cereal with the sugar and desserts and everything, and that's true. That is true. You can eat that stuff, but I always advise to eat that stuff only after you get your micronutrients. Your micronutrients means like vitamins and minerals. So like greens, fruits, all the vegetables and the meats and everything. And then you can go, once you get that, then you can go and eat the junk food. But I don't think that, I don't know, people do it differently. It's just my personal preference not to consume a bunch of junk food because in the end, you want food that's going to build your body up, but you can have those foods that are fun to eat and not as nutrient dense, as long as it fits in your macro number. So each gram of fat has 9 calories in it. Each gram of carbs has 4 calories, and then protein has 4 calories per gram. So whenever you meet all of these numbers, then you ultimately are going to be eating the right amount of calories. You don't necessarily need to track your calories. Usually, if you hit all of your numbers for your carbs, fats, and protein, then you will meet your calorie requirements. Tracking your macros is also referred to as flexible dieting, and the reason that it's flexible is because there's no restriction to what you can eat. Typically, you have someone figure up what, according to your height, your weight, your age, your gender, your activity level, they can figure out how much you need of each macronutrient. So, if you're active, you're not active, and all of that just really depends on your lifestyle. And sometimes people can even, if you prefer fatty foods to carby foods, then they can allow you to have more foods that have more fat in them, such as like cheese or whatever. But as long as you're staying within your numbers, you will lose the fat. It's just science. There's no guesswork. You just do it, and you stay disciplined with staying in your numbers, and the fat goes away. It's really simple once you get it all sorted out and figured out. I will say that there is a learning curve and a time period where when you start that you need to just learn what is in everything, because it's something, if you've never done it before, then you're not going to know the fats, the proteins, and the carbs that's in 4 ounces of ground turkey, or an ounce of rice, or whatever. So whenever you do start to learn these things, then it gets easier, and it's just second nature. I will say that it's definitely not a quick fix, and it needs to be a lifestyle change, with the exception of a few treat meals or untracked meals every so often. The reason why tracking your macros works, aside from it being science, it also works because you don't have any food restrictions. Unless you're gluten intolerant or something like that, then you can work around it. Also, I would like to say that Lydia has been doing very well tracking her macros. She's at the end of her learning phase, and she is now beginning to get a better grasp on what is in everything that she's eating. And let me just remind you guys, she's a vegan. Vegans can track their macros. It's just all on how you look at it, just with anything. And it also is a lot of trial and error in the beginning to make sure that you get your numbers correct, and like I said, so that you can learn what is in your foods. And that's why it's so important, because we as Americans don't know what we're consuming as far as our macronutrients. There's so much garbage out there saying eat low carb, or saying that bread's bad, or if you eat processed food it's bad. I'm here to tell you food is not bad. Food is nourishment for our bodies. It also is something that, you know, we can sometimes eat because it's fun, like your desserts and everything. And when you're tracking your macros, you can have dessert. But anyways, I feel like I'm rambling. If you guys want more information on macros, more videos, give this one a thumbs up right now, and leave any of your questions down below. And I hope this was helpful for anyone who was curious. See you guys in the next video. Bye!